Okay, this section is going to focus on COVID. I'm going to be talking about the updated protocols from the CDC regarding the length of quarantining for close contacts. I first want to begin by just giving you some data points that are worth celebrating. We just finished our 14th week of school. That is amazing. I know for sure that most of us thought that we would not make it this far. What's more impressive to me is that we have been open all 14 of those weeks. There has not been a day where we've had to close the school down. We've only had 2 classes that have had a quarantine. And like I said, having everybody here, having our doors open for all 14 of those weeks, I believe it's 63 days is what we're starting on Monday, but don't quote me. It's around 60 some days. It's truly remarkable. I don't feel like it's a fluke or that we are luckier than any other school. Maybe in the beginning we could say that first couple weeks of the school year, but by this point, I truly believe it is because of our well thought out relaunch plan, but also how meticulously our teachers have been following that plan, as well as our students every day. Students are so compliant with the masks, they're keeping their distance. So all of those pieces go together in addition to our parents who are really still being proactive in keeping children home who are displaying symptoms. So we are very blessed. I have other principal colleagues who are having to make phone calls quite often of students that are being dropped off in the morning who are symptomatic. We thankfully don't have that here at school, so that is a testament to you. I just want to do one quick reminder before I go into the CDC. We are heading into the holidays, as we all know, a time where there is typically large group gatherings. And while I can't dictate what you do for your holiday gatherings and how you celebrate the Christmas season, just some reminders that if you can try to continue to practice those 4 interventions that we know help mitigate the spread, it again will help us return to school in January with the best chances of continuing to be able to keep our doors open. So face coverings, hand washing, keeping your distance. And if you are feeling down in the weather, or if you know someone, you're going to someone's house and there's somebody that's not feeling well there, to try to limit that exposure and stay home if you need to as well. Okay, so on Wednesday, the CDC released updated protocols regarding the length of time that someone needs to quarantine if they are a close contact to a positive case of COVID. When I shared our relaunch plan with you way back in July, I did share that we are making all decisions based on 3 sources of information: the CDC, Washington Ozaukee Health Department, and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. So knowing that the CDC came out with this, it wasn't something that was just in the paper or a news organization shared that they heard, this story. It was from one of the reputable sources that we are making decisions on. We did start to look at what they shared. On Wednesday evening, the Ozaukee Washington Health Department, so one of our other data points sources, shared that they are endorsing the new guidelines the CDC shared. So here's what the guidelines now are. So in the past, it was if you're a close contact, you're quarantining for 14 days. No questions asked, that's what it is. The new guidelines are if you're a close contact, you have to quarantine for a minimum of 7 days. If on that 7th day you do get a COVID test and that test comes back negative, your quarantine is then ending on the conditions that you are not having symptoms. If you choose to not be tested on that 7th day, then you need to quarantine for 10. So it reduces the minimum, really the least amount of days to quarantine is between that 7 and 10, the maximum being 10 days to quarantine. So our administrative team came together on Thursday and we discussed the implications that has to our school and to our relaunch plan. And we felt like we want to change our quarantining policy to the following. So we are going to require all close contacts to quarantine for 10 days. It's regardless of if you have a positive test result or not. We are at this point wanting to have that 10-day be the number of days to quarantine. If on day 10 your child feels fine, there's no symptoms, then your child can return to school the next day. We ask that you continue to monitor your child on day 11, 12, 13, and 14. If anything would come up on any of those days, that would be on our symptom tracker. You would then keep your child home and get your child tested. If you have any questions on the updates to our protocols or our policies, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I have been asked that what if I, as a parent, still want to follow the 14 days? So I'm not feeling confident in the 10, I want to do 14 days. That is your prerogative. You can make that decision. You have authority over your child and their attendance in school. If you choose to keep them out longer than what that minimum is, that is fine. Know that if a class is quarantined, that class will be back on the 11th day. If you're keeping your child out, then from an instructional standpoint, homework would be sent via Seesaw or Google Classroom. They would not jump onto virtual instruction because we are back on campus and we are live, but you can for sure keep them home if you wish you would want to. And we would provide for you missing classwork, missing homework, just as we would in the past that I talked about in our last video in November. If you have questions, again, give me a call, let me know. Otherwise, be well.